here at the Bellagio with the latest episode of Poker Tonight. The Bellagio Cup 3 began today, and there are still lots of tournaments going on down at the Rio, so let's lay our cards on the table and get the show started.
Now, for most people, Monday is the beginning of the work week, but for poker players, it's just another day at the table. And today was no different down at the Rio. We had two new events starting. The first one, the $2,500 buy-in No Limit Hold'em event.
The chip leader in that tournament right now is Raj Sawant, and in second chip position is Lee Watkinson. Now, also starting today at 5 p.m. was the $2,000 buy-in Stud High-Low tournament.
Very cool. Now, today is day 2 of the $5,000 buy-in World Championship Limit Hold'em tournament, which had 257 entrants. The current chip leader is Mike Casale, and the others remaining are Doyle Brunson, Barry Greenstein, Max Pescatori, and Eli Elezra.
Now, today was also day 2 of the $1,000 buy-in Ladies No Limit event. Over 1,200 women entered this tournament, and the current chip leader is Sydney Joy.
Okay, as if it wasn't enough, we also had the continuation of the $2,500 buy-in horse tournament, which had 382 entrants and will conclude today. The current chip leader is Eli Islami. Also remaining are recent bracelet winner Tom Schneider and Robert Mizraki, the brother of the grinder.
Now, event number 15, which was a $1,500 no-limit tournament, is playing the final table right now. Phil Hellmuth entered in second chip position, and he's still in that second place spot.
Now, Phil is the first one of this year's World Series to be in the running for his 11th bracelet. He would be the first one to own 11, but he has to get through chip leader Scott Clements first.
Now, Rick Fuller entered this final table as the chip leader, but he's dropped down to third chip position.
Rick has cashed 2 times at the previous World Series and has appeared at 1 final table. Now, before Rick's final table today, he stopped by the Card Player Studios to let us know how he planned to play against and outmaneuver the elusive Phil Hellmuth.
Rick, you're about to head into the final table for the $1,500 No Limit event. You excited?
Very excited. Couldn't sleep last night.
You ready to win your first bracelet today?
I am.
So how many chips do you have going into this final table?
I have just under 1.8 million.
And there's a pretty big name right behind you in second chip position at the final
There
table.
is Phil Hellmuth. He has 1.4 million, but I have position on him, and he's going for his record-setting 11th bracelet. So
you ready to take it away from him?
Yeah, I'm going to make sure I put a stop to that.
Did you play with him at all yesterday? You think you're familiar with Phil?
Just for a little while, but more importantly, though, I talked to some people after the tournament yesterday who have played a lot with him, and they gave me some good strategy and some good ways to play against him. So I'm going to try and use that.
So how do you beat Phil Hellmuth?
I'll tell you after if I beat him. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to beat him and then lose to him. So I'd feel like pretty much like I do it then.
Who else is at the final table?
My good buddy Morgan Machina's there. He's got 839,000 or something like that. There's Scott Clements, who's a really good player. At the final
What's
table.
it like playing with some of your good friends, or one of your good friends at the final table?
Well, we played a little bit together yesterday. We were at the same table together yesterday. And
does it feel weird to have a big hand against them or something of that nature? I mean, I know a lot of poker players are good friends.
There's no friends at the poker table.
There's no friends?
Morgan and I are great friends before the tournament. We're great friends after the tournament, but we're going to play each other in the tournament. We're both good. We're both going for first place.
So back to Phil. Do you think that he's going to have any antics today?
Phil can't be on camera without having antics. I mean, it's impossible for the guy. He's got to have antics. So yeah, he'll be pulling his usual stuff, and yeah, I'm not gonna let it affect me. I've seen it before. I played with him before, and it's all in good fun, and he makes a lot of money going with those antics. So can't really blame him for doing it.
So what do you think about the televised final table? The fact that there are lights, cameras, and audience, does that change anything really?
No, I've played on televised final tables before, like 3 of them. It's the lights are really distracting and they're hot, but other than that, it doesn't.
They can't be hotter than our lights.
These ones are pretty hot, but it's a little nerve-wracking at first, just for like the first 15 minutes, and then it just gets back to poker. So you just play something again.
Are the final tables going to be shrouded as they have in the past?
Oh man, I'm so pissed off about this. So. Last time I made a final table at the World Series was in 2004, and I've been really wanting to make a final table. Omaha high-low split.
Okay.
And everybody wants to make a final table at the World Series, so I make a final table, and I find out I can't even have my friends come and watch.
Why is that?
No one can watch it. They're shrouding the final table. It's secluded, and you can't have anybody go in and watch it. So I mean, it's a terrible thing. I don't know who set that up or who's responsible for that.
I actually think it was the Nevada Gaming Commission that requested it for I'm not exactly sure, for cheating purposes, but I don't
Well,
understand
no, it's
that.
because it's only 15 events that they're doing that on.
Oh.
The other ones are filmed by ESPN and they're live and with an audience.
I
and
understand.
I heard it was 15 events that Bluff Magazine has the rights to or something, and they broadcast it over the internet for a subscription fee. So
they're shrouded.
yeah, it's really irritating. And if I had any pull in the poker world, I'd be throwing a fit right now.
So what are your friends going to be doing while you're playing at the final table?
I don't
Just
know.
following
they
it
can
online?
watch it. Yeah, they can watch it live with a 1 hour delay, so semi-live online. So I guess they'll be doing that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rick, and good luck today at that final
Thanks, I
table.
appreciate it.
Hope to be talking to you after you get your bracelet.
I hope so too. Thanks, Lizzie.
Here at the Bellagio, their summer tournament series began today. The Bellagio Cup 3 kicked off with a $1,000 buy-in, no-limit tournament. Now, Kenna James was here earlier today, and he explained that if you want to find him this summer, you better look in the Fontana Lounge at the Bellagio.
Kenna, Bellagio Cup 3 starts today here at the Bellagio. Are you going to be playing in the first event?
More than the first event. Hopefully, most of them, except for those that I make the final table and can't play. So I'm looking forward to it, and I wish they had an overall player award because I'd be going after it.
What made you decide to play the Bellagio Cup events versus the World Series across the street?
Well, Jack McClellan, I've known him for so many years, and he runs quality tournaments really for the player. And it's just, I'm trying to show my commitment to Jack and the Bellagio for the events and really looking out for the players.
Do you think other players will do the same? Do you think they will have a nice turnout for these events?
I think they will. Word is it that, the commercialization of poker can be good and bad. The good is so many people are being exposed to this great game, and the bad part is people want to exploit and take, a little bit too much of the pie, and it becomes tougher and tougher to overcome that. So we have to stand up as players and play where we get the best value and where the venue's going to treat us the best, regardless of whether there's a bracelet involved or a cup or a ring, whatever it is, it's the title. And so I'm really looking forward to supporting the Bellagio and playing these events.
What do you think about the main event being a WPT event for the first time ever?
Well, it's always great. I love WPT. I played in the very first WPT event, and have played in the majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it, and looking forward to it.
I guess Kenna couldn't wait to get back down to the poker tables. Card Player will be sure to keep you up to date on what's going on here at the Bellagio for the Bellagio Cup 3. We'll be talking to the players, we'll be talking to the people running it, and we'll be giving you all the stats each day, so make sure you stay tuned to Card Player TV.
As we all know, online poker has been caught in a legal quagmire for quite some time now, thanks to the sneaky bill that was pushed through by Bill Frist. Now there is finally legislation in the works to try and remedy the situation.
The fact that so many lawmakers side with poker players on this issue bodes well for the future of internet gambling. But we had a chance to speak with Howard Lederer, a board member of the Poker Players Alliance, earlier today to find out more about what's been going on with this proposed legislation.
It seems like it went well. This is an issue that I think it is, any rational thinking about this, online poker, it should be regulated. It should be taxed. It should not be, American adults should not be prevented from playing this great game. So, from what I understand, there were some people arguing the opposite side of the argument there, but I think those arguments are a little shrill and a little moralistic, and I don't think it's Congress's place to be telling people what they can do and what they can't do with their money in the privacy of their home that doesn't hurt other people. I know that's Congressman Frank's position. I happen to agree with it.
I read that some of the people who testified yesterday were people who work with compulsive gamblers, and some of that testimony actually helped the case more than anything because they said it should be regulated, we should keep minors out. It's easier than in a brick-and-mortar casino because they do have those regulations. You think that's true?
Well, there's certainly the technology exists, I think,
Absolutely.
to make it harder for underage and compulsive play than in the brick-and-mortar space. And, when you look at it, our society is full of activities that adults engage in that can hurt other people at times, or
Perfectly legal activities.
Perfectly legal. Smoking, drinking, driving a car. Do we ban cars because some people get in accidents and die? That's just not the way society works. And when you look at gambling in particular, this is one of the least problematic areas of our society. I was at a recent symposium at Harvard, a guy named Howard Lederer, a very well-respected Harvard professor, has been studying addictive behavior across all types of behavior for 30-some-odd years. And he uses he actually uses three terms very effectively. Term number one is called exposure. Mm-hmm. And what exposure is, if you ask someone, within the last year, have you done a particular activity? What percentage of the population says yes to that question? That's the exposure number, okay? So now if you ask the American population, have you gambled in the last year at something? Mm-hmm. The answer is 90% yes. So there's a 90% exposure rate to gambling in this country among adults. Drinking, the answer is 70%. You know, a lot of people just don't drink. So more people gamble than drink in this country. Now, when you ask the question, or when you look clinically at whether someone is a compulsive or an addict to that activity, it turns out that with drinking, 6 or 7% have or maybe not full-blown alcoholic, but they're problem drinkers. 0.7% are problem gamblers. Okay, so now we have an activity where nearly 10% of the people that partake in drinking, for example, have some kind of a problem.
They're hurting themselves.
Right, you know, and they would probably be better off if they weren't drinking. We don't ban drinking. We tried it once. It failed miserably. Now we have an activity gambling. 90% of the people partake in that activity. 0.7% have a problem with it. That 0.7%, they deserve treatment. And a regulated environment would give them treatment.
You'd be able to identify them easier.
Right. And there's another concept he talks about, which I'd never even thought of, and it's called adaption. And what adaption is there are activities out there that people can have some problems with, but they figure it out on their own. Okay? How many people, college age, are binge drinkers? Okay? You know, but at the age of 30, how many binge drinkers are so people can have a problem. They're just being introduced to alcohol as young adults. They figure it out. And long term, as adults, they don't have a problem with it. Same thing with gambling. Clearly, more than 0.7% of the population has, at one time in their life, made a bet they regret. They bet more than they could afford to lose. They've taken, you know, bets that were very ill-advised. But do they become hopelessly addicted gamblers throughout their lives? Of course not. Yeah. People figure out, oh, that was a big mistake. I'm not going to do that.
And avoid it in the future.
That is called adaptation. You need to allow people to make some mistakes sometimes. Instead of the government, they're saying, oh, gambling's bad. No one should do it. When, of course, humans have been gambling for, you know, tens of thousands of years. You know, I think they should figure out a way to regulate it, get people that need help the help they need, create a nice, safe environment, and not try and legislate morality.
So do you think that ultimately Barney Frank's bill will be put through into law?
You know, I don't really know if it'll be Barney Frank's bill necessarily.
But a bill that's trying to do something
some kind
like
of
that.
Bill that will do something along those lines.
Right.
We've got the Wexler bill, which is the skill game carve out that just went out. We have a McDermott bill, which talks about taxation. We've got Barney Frank's bill, which is regulate everything. We have Shelley Berkeley's bill, which is, you know, let's study everything with the idea of regulating in the future. Okay, we've got 4 bills out there. Might seem a little disorganized, but I think what's happening here is we are sending a message.
It's good to see strength in numbers, though. It makes people see there's people from all over the country that are all, they have the same idea in mind.
That all think we should be heading in the opposite direction that the law last year headed us down. So I think what tends to happen in these situations, you have a lot of bills that are similar but not similar in some ways. They figure it out. But clearly, I think the leadership in the House needs to recognize there are a lot of people that you know, there are a lot of members of Congress that want to start heading in this direction, and it's time to figure out a compromise, come up with a bill that does kind of roll back last year's legislation and start heading us in the right direction.
Hopefully Howard's right, and in the future, anyone in the United States can play as much poker as they want. Of course, we'll keep you apprised of the situation.
And that is tonight's episode of Poker Tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned to Card Player for all the updates for the Bellagio Cup events and for everything else going on this summer in the poker world. Good night, everybody.
Good night.